There are two special organelles that are involved in energy transactions in the cell. Mitochondria work in a reaction called cellular respiration to make energy for your cells. They are the powerhouse of the cell. They take sugars such as glucose and turn them into ATP. Mitochondria are more numerous in cells that need a lot of energy, like muscles. A muscle cell has more mitochondria than most other cells. The mitochondria has two membranes, an outer membrane and an inner membrane. The inner membrane is called the cristae, and it is highly folded. Having a lot of folds like this increases the surface area for cellular respiration. Inside of the inner membrane is the mitochondrial matrix. This matrix actually has its own circular DNA and makes enzymes for cellular respiration. Chloroplasts are involved in a process that plants can do called photosynthesis to turn sunlight into sugar. Plants then use their mitochondria to turn this sugar into ATP. Chloroplasts also have two membranes. Inside of these, there is another folded membrane structure called the thylakoid membrane. This membrane resembles stacked discs. I like to think of these as Thin Mints, the Girl Scout cookies. Each cookie is called a thylakoid, and each stack of thylakoids or cookies is called a grana. The thylakoid is surrounded by a thick liquid called the stroma. In the stroma, there is also another set of different DNA present. Scientists have developed a theory called the endosymbiont theory to explain how eukaryotic cells evolved to have mitochondria and chloroplasts. Let's break down the word. Endo means inside, and symbiosis is a relationship between two organisms. We've already looked at examples of this before, such as mutualisms. What we think happened is an ancestor to eukaryotic cells engulfed a prokaryotic cell that could make ATP. The cells became dependent on each other, and many generations later, the descendants relied on each other and functioned as one organism. Then, a descendant of this cell, that now has mitochondria, engulfed another cell that could use photosynthesis to make sugars. These cells became dependent on one another and eventually developed into chloroplasts. Both of these events would have been advantageous for the cell that did the engulfing. All of a sudden, it had a way to manufacture energy from sugar, and then to manufacture sugar from sunlight. This made it more adapted, and it reproduced to produce a multitude of life that we now have as eukaryotes.